really do need to get FUUSE visors. Just tuck them into the humor for these winter mornings. The opening words this morning are from Kenneth Patton. These are words that are in the back of our hymnal that I read from time to time. And on this morning, when we are going to vote on whether we're ready to say yes to the plans for this house, just the title of these opening words, I thought I would return to these. Honor this house of worship, this house of community. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships and a haven in trouble. An open room for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice for declaring, both in times of security and danger, the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of seekers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiwork. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present, with visions of growth and progress. It is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor. Olivia Krebs will light our chalice this morning, and I invite you to speak the words of our covenant printed in the order of service. Love
is the doctrine of the church. The quest for truth is the sacrament, and service is the prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to respect the nurturing power within all of us. Thus do we covenant.
This year we are breaking slightly with tradition and giving the Ethics in Action Award twice, because we need lots of stories of people taking action in the world that is encouraging and constructive and positive. And so Jim Weber, who is a member of the Board of Trustees, will give the Ethics in Action Award again today. You get a double dose of positivity. Come right up, Jim.
Hello. Hello. I'm Jim Weber. I joined the Board of Trustees last year after a close race. I'm delighted to announce that Herb Moyer is the second winner of the FUUSE Ethics in Action Award. He's not allowed to come up yet because he's videographing us. So he is and has been a school teacher, a photographer, a videographer, an activist, an education technologist, an IBMer, a tech entrepreneur, a learner, a student, a husband of Karen for 47 years.
53.
I was 6. I don't know how. I was counting them. Okay. He's a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather. Amazing. A financial profession, and best of all, a member of FUUSE. I was overjoyed when Herb joined the church 5 years ago. His service to FUUSE is manifested by chronicling Sunday services right here, video and audio for the last 5 years, by photographing the congregation both parts and wholes, by serving as an active social justice committee member, by keeping the congregation informed as a trusted hub and distributor of information. He is a hub of this vast network of ideas and events. And I just received 3 notifications from him yesterday about events, and I already feel guilty. And in terms of his service to the greater community, he is a photographer and videographer documenting social, cultural, and political events for the Seacoast region. He attends community events, he videotapes them, edits them, and broadcasts them on Extra TV cable station, where they then go to the community media site. For instance, he filmed and distributed a recent We the People lecture on climate change. Productivity, imagine 450 or so videos on YouTube. Wow, it's amazing. He's been involved in New Hampshire politics since the 1970s, served 2 years as an Exeter selectman, helped his friend Carol Shea Porter get elected time and time again. And his recent letter, you might have seen in the Exeter newsletter, was entitled A Great Sadness in America. So he writes as well as takes pictures. He's currently the president of the Seacoast Anti-Pollution League, and has either been an officer or board since 1970. And as you know, that league is kind of the folks who keep the Seabrook plant somewhat honest. Not too honest. Finally, in addition, he was arrested in 1988 protesting the shrinkage of the emergency planning zone for Seabrook nuclear plant. He was collecting petition signatures at the town dump, and he was arrested. His supporters chanted, "Don't dump Herb." Now, Herb, you may come up. Memento to Herb. Notice that there's a handcrafted badge here. It is amazing.
I know there are people here that are more worthy than I. I simply am so happy to be part of this community. So thank you very much.
Our reading is next. Oh, I skipped the hymn. That's it. It's gesturing to me. Let's sing. Love will guide us. 131.
These are some words that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez shared after being sworn into Congress. What can I possibly say except thank you? So many people sacrificed so much for this to happen, my mother most of all. My mama was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She practically raised her siblings in poverty, while her own mother worked non-stop to provide food and shelter. She met my father, a Bronx boy visiting Isla family, at a young age. They married and moved to New York City. She didn't even speak English. My parents started from scratch. New languages, new life, new everything. Then came me, and they moved to start over again so I could have an education. Mommy mopped floors, drove school buses, and answered phones. She did whatever she needed to do for me. When my father died, she was left a single mother of 2. And again, she had to start over. After he passed, We almost lost our home, so we sold it and started over, and over, and over. It wasn't long ago that we felt our lives were over, that there was only so many do-overs until it was just too late, or too much to take, or we were too spiritually spent. I was scrubbing tables and scooping candle wax after restaurant shifts and falling asleep on the subway ride home. I once got pickpocketed and everything I earned that day was stolen. That day I locked myself in a room and cried deep. I had nothing left to give or to be, and that's when I started over. I honestly thought as a 28-year-old waitress I was too late. The train of my fulfilled potential had left the station. This week, I was sworn in as the youngest woman in America to serve in the United States Congress. I hope that record is broken again soon. As I raised my hand for the oath, my mother held the holy book and looked into Speaker Pelosi's eyes. Afterwards, the speaker said to her, "You must be so proud," and my mother began to cry. It was not long ago that our family's hope was so dim it was barely an ember. Darkness taught me transformation cannot solely be an individual pursuit, but also a community trust. We must lean on others to strive on our own. Thank you all, whether it was late nights, hard days, pocket change, emotional investment, hard and soft skills, door knocking in the heat, or petitioning in the bitter cold. We did this together.
Boy, we move from sorrow to joy, from struggle to celebration in our lives just more quickly than we can really comprehend. Certainly hear it in that story, and you know it in your lives. So we make this time to honor that constant movement and change in our lives, the ways that we're transformed all of a sudden, and the ways that we are changed slowly. If you would like to put words to the joys or sorrows or transformations in your life, come up front, stand with me here by the piano so that we can hear you.
I'm Eli, and 2 Tuesdays ago, I think, I broke my wrist. But, good thing is I got a pink cast, so, yeah. It was really weird because I didn't know it was broken for 2 days, and I think I re-injured it because I slipped on ice. But, I'm fine now, and I'm getting I'm going to a follow-up tomorrow and getting another x-ray, seeing how it's doing. So yeah.
His brother, and there were only 2 siblings in their family. He was 88 years old. He had a fall last year and never really recovered from that. He was a mathematician at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He was a sweet, charming, eccentric man. I have many lovely memories of him growing up. And I lost my mother many years ago in the 90s. And one of the things I've been thinking about this week is how if she had lived a natural lifespan, this would be about the time that I would have been facing losing her. And so I feel like the part of my life that could have had her in it and did not is coming to an end, and it feels like a generational shift. So I'm mourning my Uncle Blair this week.
Come to visit during the offering. And now we will sing the traditional simple gifts to sing our children out to young church.
Simplicity is
invite you to settle into a time of meditation, your own prayer practice, your own remembering of someone you need to be remembering. And this morning you might engage in a little practice that comes from this tidying up craze that's sweeping the nation. One of the things that Marie Kondo does before she tidies up is to sit still in the middle of the house and thank the house. Thank it for protecting the people who are in it. Thank it for being a haven. And today in particular, as we contemplate making some changes to this house, I thought it might be good to sit quietly for a couple of minutes and thank it. May this time of quiet deepen our listening and our compassion.
When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
It has been pretty stunning to see all of the women who have been, who have come into Congress. And it is especially amazing to watch Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez be herself so boldly, so loudly, so publicly, so unapologetically. She is challenging all the systems at once. She's taking on the economic system, she's taking on sexism, she's taking on racism. She's just taking it all on. And she's dancing. Have you seen the videos? There is, of course, first the video that someone posted trying to embarrass her, shame her, I'm not sure. I mean, make her look bad, which didn't work out for them. And it mostly didn't work out for them because the way she responded to someone trying to make her look bad for dancing was to dance. Have you seen the video of her dancing right through the door to her congressional office? No. Yes. So those of you who have said no, probably the person next to you can connect you to that video because it's there's not a good record of this, but I suspect she is the first person to dance into her office. Which is just a total joy. And the other thing is that she's laughing while she's dancing. It's not a vengeful dancing. It's joy, and it's life, and it's, I have something I'm intending to do in the world, and here I go to do it. She's also currently proposing a 70% income tax rate on the super wealthy. So she's dancing, but she is not messing around. And I want to be clear, I'm not today really talking about her policies, or about her as a, I was going to say candidate, but she's not a candidate anymore. She's a congresswoman. I really want to think about how she does what she does, because I think how she's doing it is some of the most important work. She is a passionate advocate for justice. And she's dancing. She has put those things together. She just is those things together. She just is dancing and justice together. She's playful and lighthearted and very serious and very focused, all in the same breath. And she's pretty at ease doing that very publicly. She just puts it out there. And she's thinking about all of the issues. She's thinking about Medicare, she's thinking about immigration policies, she's thinking about radical action to end climate change. She's willing to challenge anyone about that. And she manages to challenge people without taking them on personally. She wants to talk about the things, the issues, the realities that are important, and then still be connected to people. She's gotten a lot of attention because she has some pretty radical ideas that she is unapologetic about. You take the power out of someone accusing you of being a socialist if you just say, yeah, actually I'm a socialist. Then they can't use it against you anymore because you just have already owned it. Remember when liberal became a bad word? I think it would have gone differently if people had just said, oh yeah, I am. And just refused to let it be anything but just what it is. And I think that's part of how she is so bold, that she doesn't let things get turned against her. And she doesn't believe the insult and the undercutting that comes with what people say. She just doesn't believe it. So when people say really sexist things about her, which they do on a pretty much daily basis, she just doesn't believe it. So her responses are different. They have a different tone and a different lightness, and there's some dancing in them because she doesn't believe the insults, and so she doesn't take them personally, and she doesn't get defensive. So she just sort of hands things back to people, like when someone recently dismissed that idea about a tax cut, or not a tax cut, the opposite of tax cut. He said that she was apparently it's hard for me to say this. He said she was a little girl with a big mouth. She had already been sworn into Congress at this point. And I got just about that. But she didn't, well she probably did, but in public she said, well, he's an indication that misogyny should be taxed at 100%. But she didn't insult him personally. She didn't get into a little, well, yeah. She stayed playful, and she stayed focused on what's the bigger issue here. And she worked on that in a way that lets probably everyone except that man laugh about it and get a little space on what it feels like to be targeted and to not believe it, and to just send it back and keep being one's self right out loud. She's really taking huge risks every day, and she doesn't look like she's taking huge risks every day. She just looks like she's walking what she believes in and figuring out how to do that in a new role and in a new place and in a new way, day after day. It certainly sounds like the content of her politics comes from her family's struggles and her own personal struggles. Her and their ways of figuring out how to make a good life, how to take care of each other, how to live through real suffering and make lives that are worth living. As you heard in the reading a couple of years ago, she was profoundly discouraged about her life, and I think about our country's life. And one of the things that happened is that she took a road trip. It's the thing to do if you're in your 20s and trying to figure something out. She went out to Detroit and looked at what they were doing in response to their water crisis. And she went to Standing Rock. And while she was in those two places, I think particularly in Standing Rock, and watching people who had been systematically shut out of the political system, refusing to be shut out, insisting on standing up and being heard, insisting on working for what they believed in most passionately, even if they didn't know how it would work out. Inventing new ways to be in the conversation. She was so affected by that she realized that what she had believed for a long time, which was that you have to have money and connections and influence already in order to get into politics and be part of the system, that maybe that wasn't true and that maybe she should try it. And she was right. She should try it. Because it's clearly what she is meant to do in the world. She just has that capacity to both think about the biggest questions and be herself, really boldly and bravely. And to keep dancing. I think there's a reason that they noticed the dancing and tried to use that against her, because it's one of the ways that she shows that she's free, that she's ready to take risks in the world, that she's ready to be brave and just to try things, and that she's also so in herself, because you have to be pretty settled in yourself to dance, and to dance in a film that's going to be, is going to be very public. So if you're that settled in yourself, you're really powerful. And I think that's one of the reasons that people picked up on that as we kind of go after that part of who she was. She just brushed it aside and kept moving. And so I hope that we can offer her some dance music, metaphorically, in this world, and offer each other some of that dance music that settled into ourselves, ready to be brave and bold and beautiful. Take risks and keep dancing, make mistakes, keep dancing, be a little bigger in the world, keep dancing. Totally miss the dance steps, keep dancing. I think as a congregation, we're at one of these moments when we're stepping out a little, and it can feel a little frightening. And of course, the world around us is full of this struggle between the system that's not working and people who are beginning to figure out how to move around it in different ways. Every time we figure out how to be brave and keep dancing, we connect to the other people who are doing that, who are making more possible in the world. Our service today will end a little bit early so that we can take a vote. about whether we're ready to say yes to this plan for some renovations to this building. Renovations that I think will make the space more usable and more shareable. That will, I think, support us in being a little bolder and a little bigger in our community. And in our own sense of who we are. And I am looking forward to that. I think the world needs Unitarian Universalists everywhere to be bigger and bolder and dancing. And the world needs this congregation in particular, with your own way of being in the world. And a little bit bolder and a little bit more dancing. Metaphorically and literally. Why not? You have some very particular gifts. And the more they get shared in the world, the better the world is. We've had several memorial services here in the past month, which is sad and hard. And always at those services, several people come to me and tell me what an amazing congregation this is. That there's something particular here that they're amazed by. And sometimes those people come back to visit. Sometimes they come a little distance to come back and visit again, to touch base with the particular magic that's here. So I look forward to the ways that we're growing that magic. The offering this morning is a thank you to this house, this community, for that magic that's spreading out into the world that we're growing and fostering. There are candles available up front in 4 places this morning if you would like to light a candle for a memory, a hope, or whatever magic you are brewing up this morning. The morning offering for the kindness, the boldness, and the dancing of this congregation will now be received. Biology break. Bathrooms are cold, I will say that. I invite our moderator and members of our renovation team and the board to come forward.
Oh, we have pens. Yeah, no, but we're going around.
We're in a little bit of a process here. I have my Robert's Rules of Order in plain English. This is a meeting specifically to vote on one issue.
Makes me think of all.